Welcome to our 12-week empowerment series here on our podcast. Each and every single one of you that has tuned in, thank you so much. Welcome. And today we are on episode 2 with a very special guest, Miss Jessica Gutierrez, who I have the privilege and honor of having right in front of me. Hello, Jess.
Hi, how are you, Jerry?
I'm doing amazing. How do you feel here in our mini podcast studio?
I feel super excited, first of all. A little bit nervous, I'm not going to lie. A little bit nervous, but excited to share and to share with all the people out there listening. Super excited.
Me
Can't
too.
wait to start.
Me too. Well, let me tell you, Jessica's not only one of our ride or dies inside of Team Beauty, but she was one of these 7 that was crazy enough to say yes to me on this amazing journey. And so we have conversations every day.
Literally.
And having you in front of me here for this podcast, I know we're going to have a lot of fun, but most importantly, everybody that is listening, whether you are a member, a customer, a coach, or just tuning in and you found us somewhere on Spotify or on YouTube, I know that you're going to enjoy this story so much. And so
she got me a little bit nervous already.
Yes, Jess. Well, people might think that you and I go way back, because I truly believe that, we have an amazing relationship.
Yes.
But I want everybody to know, who was Jessica before Team Beauty? What did you do before Team Beauty? Where does your childhood, where do you come from?
Okay. Well, let me just tell you guys, first of all, that, I listened to Jerry, her craziness, right? And I still continue to listen to her craziness. And this is why we're here right now. But super excited, like I said. And yeah, let me take you back a little, I guess you could say, to maybe for my childhood. I think that's where it's really important when people get to know you from your childhood, and get to know the journey of who is Jessica, right? Well, I was born in Monterrey. First of all, a lot of people don't know that.
Me either.
You didn't?
No, I did not.
See, you learned something new today. Born in Monterrey, Mexico.
Wow. 100% regia.
100%, exactamente. We moved to the United States, of course. I was very little. I probably don't even remember, probably 2, 3 years old. Migrant parents, we moved. I actually lived here in the Rio Grande Valley for a couple of years, but I lived in Austin. I went to school, kindergarten in Austin.
Oh, wow.
Can you believe that? Kindergarten. I didn't know a word of English. I only knew Spanish, and they put me in an all English classroom and pretty much just throw me in there and learn, know? And that's where I learned English. I learned by just getting thrown in there and learning. And, going through all of those things and remembering getting lost in the school bus in that city, just a lot of memories that come back talking about that, right? And I don't really remember this, or I can't say I remember being very poor. Right. And the only reason I remember it, or that I know, is because my mom, tells
you that,
and tells me like, oh, remember when we lived there? We were so poor. Like, we would change your brother's diapers, and he didn't have diapers. He wore cloth diapers, and we would eat rice and beans, and all of those little things that you're like, wow. But I can't complain. I had a great childhood. We had love in the house. We had, to me, I felt like I had everything. Family, yeah. So that was my childhood growing up, coming to the Valley, then being here maybe 3 years, then leaving to Chicago. And a lot of people think I'm actually grew up in the Valley, or I went to high school here in the Valley, but I didn't. Most of my school was in the suburbs of Chicago. And I guess that's where I learned my real English, right?
Yeah, I actually went to elementary in Chicago too.
See, we have that in common.
Yes, we do. And you were in Chicago from what year to what year, you would say?
Since I was in 3rd grade all the way up to I graduated high school.
So you graduated out there.
Yes, Spartans, go Spartans,
Ooh.
Romeoville, Illinois. That was where I grew up, in Romeoville, Illinois. I was a dance. I did dance. I've always been very social. I loved being in leadership roles. I loved being like in everything.
You were in all the different clubs.
I was a social butterfly, I guess you could say. And growing up with very strict parents, my dad was very strict, my mom was very strict. So I was known as a girl that had to be home real early, that had strict parents, but that's why I started to think like, I want to leave. I want to go and be in the valley. I grew up coming every December for the holidays in the summer. And that's when I decided to come to school over here, to Pan Am.
Okay, and you went to the university here.
Yes.
In the valley. Well, in the valley. And here in Edinburgh, Texas.
Edinburgh, yes.
And did you finish?
No.
¿Por qué te ríes?
Because I'm so bad. I didn't like school.
Okay, you didn't finish. It was your excuse out of Chicago.
It was my excuse out of Chicago. To tell you the truth, it was just my excuse to leave Chicago. And, I started learning and seeing more things in life and experiencing different things, not being with such strictness in my house, right? And
you like the freedom?
I like the freedom. I love freedom, as you can see.
That's awesome, Jess.
Yeah.
And so coming out of that, did you start, were you just living life,
Oh, girl.
You were working or like was your family supporting you? How did that go down?
I was living life. I can't complain. I lived life. I traveled. I went out. I probably partied too much, right? I did some things that I probably shouldn't have done, gave my mom and dad some headaches, right? But actually, coming from a culture where you grow up where the girl is not supposed to work, my dad didn't really want me to work at first, always very sheltered. And finally, at the age of 21, I started working. Okay. I got my first job at 21.
Big girl.
Can you believe that?
Do you think 21 that's
old to get a job? Okay. Yes.
Well, nobody would hire me back then. So, I mean, I don't know what do you consider, right? Old at age of 21
to get a job? Yeah. Like I was barely getting a job. It was 2021. I got a degree in early childhood development. Okay. It took me a year at one of those South Texas.
So that you finished.
That I finished. I love teaching.
Okay.
I started working at Valley Baptist, right? I was there for like 2 years. I was the daycare, one of the workers. I taught the two-year-old and toddlers.
Wow, Jess.
And then from there, I went to Holy Spirit.
Okay.
And I was there for another 5 years. Teaching. And there I was doing the 3-year-olds and then the pre-kinder. And I taught them how to read, how to write, how to do all of that.
Wow.
Crazy, right?
That is insane. I maybe that's why you're like,
I don't want kids.
I thought it. You said it. Okay. Cheers.
Cheers. Me hartaron.
Yeah, you were already over the top with the children. Yeah, I mean, teaching can be very stressful, they say, right?
It was.
And then after that, how old were you when you stopped teaching and went to your next venture?
I was about 26, 27. That's when I started working at doctor's hospital. But I didn't work for the hospital. I worked for a contract company called Morrison. I learned a lot with that company, had great mentors in that company, worked in the food and nutrition department, and they were contracted by the hospital. So I started to learn a lot about nutrition. Started to see a lot of sickness, to like the reality of everything that we have here in the valley, right? And it started to open other interests in me, right? And I also did the HR, so I would do all the training for the employees. There was over 120 employees, and I would train them and, make sure that they knew what they were doing, what they were coming into. We had, things that they had to do for company policies. From there, I was taken to other cities to open up different hospitals and train the employees. But then I saw like also how much people got when they had raises each year. I started to see people that were there for lots of years that were getting like 10-cent raises, 25-cent raises. And to me, that was like, oh my God, what?
You were already thinking yourself those questions back then.
I started to question a lot. And then I also, had friends that were successful, right? And that I would see being very successful. And I was like, well, what are they doing, that I'm not doing? Or why can't I do it, And really started getting into that. And at the time I went back to school, I thought that was the answer.
Okay.
And I decided I wanted to open up an adult daycare just because I'm crazy like that. And I thought that was the thing to do. And I said,
because you didn't like kids.
I didn't like kids.
you not that you didn't like kids. You were done with the kids. So now you were going to go with the elder.
The older. Let me
you went from one extreme to another, girl.
I'm such an extremist. Right? Oh my God. I didn't think about that. But yeah.
So you opened your daycare.
Well, I actually had to go to school to get hours to be the director, to be able to open it.
How long did that take?
A year.
Okay.
It took me a year. I didn't finish school. I just went and did what I needed to do.
For that.
And I was done.
Okay.
Yeah. So I did that. We opened up the daycare. It was a whole process of, the building, everything. I learned so much through that, what it is to open a traditional business.
And that was in the year?
That was in 2011.
Okay.
2011, yeah. And, I thought that was it. This is what I'm doing the rest of my life.
And Jess was in there when she met us. I mean, you were married to my husband. I mean, you were cousins with my husband, right? Before we got married, obviously. And when did your interest in fitness and nutrition spark up, that you called him and were like, okay, I need to get serious about this?
I guess I've always loved fitness and nutrition. I've always, not nutrition, fitness.
You've always worked out?
I've always worked out. Of course, there comes the college years where you get the college weight and you stop working out and all that. And then you start getting conscious again, like, oh my God, what's going on? I need to start working out. Started working out. I always loved working out, doing different things. So I was always looking for the next trainer, the next group setting, the next cool thing to do, right? So that I always loved, right? So when I saw Diego, my cousin, getting these results, that I was like, what is this guy doing, right? Diego is my little cousin. I am 10 years older than him. So saw him grow up with my brother, best friends with my brothers, and always seeing him at my house. And then all of a sudden, he's doing some MMA thing, and then all of a sudden he's doing some Herbalife thing and getting sick results. And I'm like, what are you doing? What is it that you're doing? Because I need to lose weight. Like I was working out, but I didn't have the results that I was looking for. Self-conscious at the time, very self-conscious.
And so you got started. You got started. And, today's topic, Jess, is very interesting, right? Because we're going to be talking about debt. We're going to be talking about breakups. We're going to be talking about death. todo, everything. And, it's interesting to know the background, right, of where you came from before you even started the journey inside of Herbalife and your teen beauty journey, because a lot of the times, when, especially in today's world, right, we have social media.
Yes.
Did you have social media in high school?
No.
How would
we
you?
had beepers.
Okay. Beepers. Some of our
listeners
younger listeners probably would not even know. But it's important because even in today's world with social media, people can see your current life or your current picture, or whatever that current situation is, and think her life has always been like that. And that's why I love today's topic so much. The hardest moments don't own you, because somebody like you who has not only had a business, right, but maybe lived in different cities, had different relationships already, different breakups. I was asking her earlier, about her first breakup, and it's like, oh, first breakup, second breakup, there's several, and it's, you've gone through this life journey before, coming into this, okay, I want to do this business with you. I want to work on this project, and already coming with a certain decision, right? So let's fast forward a little bit to 2015, when Jerry decides to send Jessica a message, right? I always saw, for those of you who are just listening for the very first time, I always saw Diego's cousin, Jessica, as someone who was quote unquote successful. She was always, as she says, traveling, or she always had her Louis Vuitton purse and dressed nice. And so I always thought, like, man, she would be a great boss babe on my team. I always thought that about her, right? But the moment really never came where we coincided at the same time. And when I started Teen Beauty, I thought about her immediately and shot her over a message like, hey, I'm going to start this women empowerment project. Would you love to join me? But at that time, Jess, was life perfect? Was everything great? What was it in you that you were like, yes, I need to get started with you? Because before that, you already had your adult daycare, you had your routine, what was happening at that time?
Okay. Well, really interesting, because before that, 2 years before that, 2015, was when I reached out to Diego for the first time and told him I wanted to get started. Whatever he was doing, I didn't even know what he was doing at the time. Got started on a program with him, with Herbalife, of course. He had his workout groups that he would do, and I started working out there. Started falling in love with the community, right? Started to meet great people that are still around, that are still very dear friends now. And I just started to, that was my routine. It was go to the daycare, right, very early in the morning, and then go to see Diego and work out, right? And that was a routine. I started to fall in love, get invited to some events, even though I was like, oh, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if I want to be part of that. I would still show up and go. And I just loved the community and the teachings, I guess you could say. I remember going to a finance class once, and I was like, what is this? Like, they're teaching finance? I didn't even learn this in school, And so it started
there was
to
a lot
spark
of
an
value.
interest. Yeah, because of the value. Exactly. So 2 years later, a year later, actually, I decided to actually get my membership with Herbalife because I wanted cheaper products, right? And never did I think that I was going to be doing this full time like I am now. But at the time, I was dating also somebody not from here. He lived in Mexico City. And, it was just a lot of things going on that weren't so great. That at the time I felt like, what am I doing? Like, where is my life going? What am I going to do if is this what I'm going to do for the rest of my life? I was unhappy at the daycare. It wasn't going the way I thought it was going to be going. I thought, like, I'm going to do the daycare and that's it. This is what I'm going to be. This is what I'm going to live off of. And started to see the reality of a traditional business, you know, the taxes, the payroll taxes, the people not wanting to share anything with you on how to do the business. You know, I had to hire contractors to help me because I had no idea what I was doing. Really going out there and kind of self-educating myself and trying to look for answers, but I was unhappy. I was unhappy because I couldn't make it work. And I think you know me, Jerry, and I'm somebody that will make it work, you know, and I'm relentless, and I'm going to do what's in my power to be able to make it work. And it was like a fail, you know, and it was something.
Did you feel at some point like you knew it was failing, but like, obviously you didn't want to give up, but, you know, did you have that feeling of like, this is going to bust, like this isn't?
Yes, I did. I knew it wasn't going to, I wasn't happy. First of all, I wasn't happy anymore doing it, you know, and second of all, I was trying and doing and just couldn't see the end to it, right? Or the light to it. And eventually, you know, I was partners with my brother at the time, you know, especially being partners, like the little that was coming in, having to share it, you know, and it was just very draining. It was mentally draining. It was draining in my pocket. I was negative in my bank account.
You were already in debt.
I was in debt. I was, you know, barely making it just to pay off employees. And that's something that, you know, I'm very grateful that I have that, because my employees always got paid, you know, no matter what. It was like, I have to get everything paid before anything goes to me, you know, and had that ethic. So at the end of the day, I was just tired. I was tired and looking, I think, not looking for an opportunity, but it kind of fell and knocked on my door and I opened it. Right. And sometimes opportunity knocks on our door and we don't open it because of pride, ego, a lot of things, you know. I could have said, you know, Jerry and Diego are 10 years younger than me. Like, they're not going to tell me what to do, you know. But to me, I saw you
already told
guys,
everybody how much younger I am.
how much older I am. So, yeah, it was just seeing you guys, you know, at the time, I'm dealing with all of this, going through a breakup as well. We ended a relationship. A very public relationship that was very embarrassing to me and gave me a lot of self-confidence issues, right? And then, you know, seeing you guys traveling, I saw Diego propose to you in Paris, and I was like, who are these people? What are they doing? What's my cousin doing, right? Like, you know, and then I was interested, you know, I started to spark that interest. That was what was going on in my head at the time when you messaged me, and I'll never forget the day. It was the day after my birthday, January 10th. 2015.
And it's very interesting just that, you know, you say that many people could see that, right? The opportunity, and you saw that invitation like an opportunity in the middle of heartbreak, right? Embarrassment. Your self-confidence and self-worth was to the floor. You were in debt. I mean, not $10 or $2,000. You were in debt, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And at that same time, you said, this is what I need. You saw this as an opportunity. And what would you tell, you know, people out there that are listening that could be in the same boat as you? You know, a lot of the times, at least me, you know, I remember when I would go to my mom whenever I had my first couple heartbreaks, right? It was like your life was over. Yeah. There was no other man better, you know, than the person at that moment. And it's like heartbreak is a big deal in many young women's and many women's, I mean, lives. And debt is this money thing is a big deal that most of the time paralyzes people from moving forward, because they feel like, I am already in the situation, like I can't do this or I can't do that.
Yeah, you know.
How did you swerve through that so it wouldn't define you?
I think, first of all, it's knowing that you have to move forward, like knowing that it doesn't define you, like that moment in time does not define you. Whatever moment you go in through in time, whatever you're going through, I always say you have to take it as a lesson. You know, and those lessons, the hardest lessons are going to be your biggest lessons. You know, the hardest heartbreaks, the hardest lessons in your life are going to be your biggest lessons. And, you know, it takes a while to figure that out. But I'm telling you, the listener that's out there, that maybe you're younger than me, that maybe you're going through these heartbreaks, that you're going through financial situations, that you're going through, you know, you gotta trust and you gotta go forward and not get paralyzed, because like I always say, fear is paralyzing. You know, it paralyzes you. If you let it get to you, it's gonna paralyze you, and you're not gonna do anything. So it was always just, I got to find a solution. I got to find the right people. Who do I know? What am I doing? Observe people. And that's when you can say yes to those opportunities. When you're observing and when you're open to say, like, I don't know what I need to do, but I need something. And I know that there's opportunities out there. I just need to have an open heart and an open mind to those opportunities. And that is how you can get through it. But if you pity yourself, if you die in that self, you know, poor me, victimizing, then you're gonna stay like that. And I guess I could say I was blessed that you know, I saw that from my dad a lot, you know, like always seeing a new opportunity, always wanting to look for something new, or, you know, always kind of like me, just being an extremist and
what more?
¿Qué más? What else can we do? What else can I do? You know, so I think those are the things that define
And I love
us.
that you say that, because now I see how Team Beauty was your fuel, right? At that time when you said yes, I remember you were working at the daycare, and then after daycare, you were like at Team Beauty, right? You were at the facility, ready to go, ready to, you know, talk to people, to work out with us, and you would spend your afternoons there. So you use that as your fuel to really embrace, you know, this process of, let me take on opportunity, let me get busy, let me do something that's going to be productive.
Yes. And I think that's really important, Jerry, keeping busy. Right? Sometimes when we're going through heartbreak, when we're going through things in life, you know, whatever it is that life is throwing at us that we're not happy with, we can hide away in our room and cry, or we can keep busy and we can find something to do that we like to do and that, you know, is going to get you out of that mindset. And to me, I think if I hadn't said yes to Team Beauty, it could have been a very different situation. You know, that heartbreak, that depth that I was going through could have taken me another route. It could have taken me to another road. It could have taken me to depression. It could have taken me to other things that go through people's minds when they're going through this. But to me, it was, I get out of my house, go do something, whatever it is. I don't even know what this Team Beauty or what this chick wants me to do, but she just told me if I wanted to make some money, and I need money right now, and I need empowerment, and I need to keep busy. So I said yes. I was already in love with the community of Herbalife, so I said, why not? Right? And why not empower myself in the journey, because I need the empowering right now. Right? So I had the results already when I started Team Beauty. I had I was like at 21% body fat,
looking
sickest results, hot. And I still had conflicts and issues mentally that I didn't look good, right? But I needed the empowerment. For me, it was the empowerment that I think a lot of women need out there, that a lot of people are going through things like that in today's world, right? In today's world, a lot of that is happening. And when you find a community, like, what can I tell you? The listener is like, where's your community? Like, what is your community? Do you have a community? And if not, look for that community. and Team Beauty was my community that we started to create and that I said yes to. And, it has changed my life, really.
Yes, love it. Love hearing it. And I never get tired, and being able to hear that it was the positive fuel, it was your empowerment, it was your plug, right? It was your source to come and get busy, get productive, proactive, and all of that turned your life around where eventually, you became full time inside of this business. And fast forward, inside of that success, because in a short, how many years did it take you would say, to reach the top 1%?
3 years.
So in 3 years, you had impacted over 2,000 women in your team, and inspired many, around the nation and in Mexico and internationally. But inside of that success, a lot of the times we feel like, oh, I reached success and now everything is going to be amazing. I'm going to have all the clothes, all the shoes, because that's what people see.
Yeah.
And in that journey, as you were reaching the top 1%, the last bullet point that I have here for you is, you had maybe one of the hardest times in your life, which was death.
Yes.
Right. You had the death of your dad, of your father. Talk to me about that. How did you overcome, or how were you able to swerve through that to continue to get by and continuing your business, your life, everything that you have today?
Okay. Yeah, that's a hard one. That's I could tell you right now that I think anything that comes to you in life, everything has a solution, right? Except death, right? We don't have a solution for that. You just have to find solutions on how to get past it. And, before my father passing away, were the emotions of that whole 2017 year. Of the ups and the downs of his health, his battles, things that he was going through personally as well, which was a family issue that we were all going through. And, already almost getting to the top 1% of the company myself was something that it could have frozen me, right? It could have said, like, since the beginning of 2017, like, this is too much. I'm going through too much. I'm just going to hide away in my room and not do anything, But what really pushed me, I think, is the learning that I had in the last couple of years that I started Herbalife Team Beauty was being able to empower women, the personal development that comes with the company that we are in, which I love, because I say, like, I don't know where I would be if I didn't have that.
It got you stronger mentally.
Exactly. It was preparing me. And I always say, like, it was preparing me mentally to be able to deal with something like this, that you're never going to be prepared for it. You're never going to say it was easy, because I can't tell you it's easy. It's still hard. It's hard to even talk about it, but it prepares you as much as it can, right? And it makes you that person that can deal and knowing your purpose in life, and I think with Team Beauty, I found my purpose in life, and I know that there's so much more that I have to do and so much more that I have to give to other people. And when you find that gift inside of you of what you're going to give to the world, then you know that your life has to go on, and that you have to give to those people, to give to you guys today, that you're allowing us to speak to you, the audience that's out there listening to us. But, it was the process of growing in those 3 years that was preparing me for that. And that was preparing me, to also be able to give to my family, to give to my mom, to be able to be in a place where, it's going to be okay. Yes, of course, the pain is there. That doesn't go away, but you learn to
What would you
deal.
tell yourself every morning? Because I know there's a lot of people, same, right? Like, they're sad, depressed, with anxiety that they don't know, right? They can't get themselves up. So what would you tell yourself every morning that you're like, get up, and you could do this, whether that was 2 months later, 3 months later, 6 months later, what did that look like, that self-talk inside of your head?
I could tell you it was probably took me about a month to really be able to go out there, which I felt so blessed because I had the opportunity to do that, right? Because of what I do, and that I choose my hours of work and what I can do. But then at the same time, I felt selfish that first month for, doing what I do, making what I make, and then having other people that are waiting or that need what we have or that I need to teach and not doing it. So that didn't let me stop my own
your
responsibility
in knowing that you can help others how to make money.
That's the word, my responsibility. My responsibility, that was one of the things, and then knowing, really my dad was my everything. He was the one that would get me out of situations. It was like, if I'm in a bad situation, who am I going to call? My dad. So knowing that he wasn't there, that what was I going to do? Like, you got to get up, and you can't just swallow in your sadness because Dad's not here anymore. Right. And that was the second thing that was like, get your butt up and go work and do more. And my passion, the third thing I would have to say, my passion for what I do. Like I said, when you find your passion, you get so busy in your passion that it starts to heal you from the inside, everything that you do. I remember having to share my story. They invited me to do a success seminar training in Monterrey 6 months after my dad passed away. And I said yes. It was something very hard because it was the first time I was going to share my story. And of course, that's a very big part of my story now. I got to the top 1% of the company right after my dad passed away. The month after, we were, working on that, and it was crazy how it all happened, and, him not being there, and him waiting for that, all of those things were hard. They were bittersweet. Like when it was happening, it was bittersweet. Like, we did it, but then you're not here to witness it, right? But when I went to share my story there in Monterrey, I shared it, and it was so hard for me to share it. But then at the end of the event, the outpour of love from people, and thank you for sharing that. I needed it. And your story just helped me overcome something. And that to me was like, okay, Jessica, like, you're here for a bigger purpose.
That was another breakthrough for you.
Yes.
You were able to see from another perspective.
Yes.
How powerful of a message you had behind, what could have seemed of a mess, right? And of all these issues or problems that we might think we have, but they're a powerful message for other people.
Yes.
And it sure has been a powerful message that you have shared today, Jess, of the hardest moments in our life without trying to cry. I did just... You guys can't see it, but I did. The hardest moments in your life don't own you, whether that is heartbreak, death. I mean, there's so many other things, but this is part of your story. And before we finish, is there a message or anything else that you would like to give to our listeners that are listening right now, if they're going through any of this?
I guess my message is, it doesn't define you. Like, whatever you're going through right now, it doesn't define you. We're all going through things. I'm going through things right now. I'm sure Jerry's going through things right now. We all have things that we have to deal with every day, but it doesn't define who you are. The problem does not define who you are. I promise you, you just need to stop, take a deep breath, and say, what is this lesson that I'm going to find in this? What is a lesson that they're trying to teach me right now, right? What is this lesson why am I going through this, and what am I going to learn from it, and how am I going to do it better next time, right? And I think that, somebody has to hear your message eventually about that hardship or about that, when you take it like that, like everything starts to fall into place, and know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, right?
Amen.
And that you
yes,
have to just keep going, and that every day is a day to get better. Every day is a day to work harder on ourselves, right? Start working on yourself, read personal development books, read books of what you're going through, something, reach out to somebody, reach out to a mentor, reach out to somebody, and don't deal with this on your own, because, that's what mentors are for. And I've had amazing mentors in my journey. This doesn't happen just by me deciding to do this. It was a journey which I had mentors. That Jerry and Diego have been one of my biggest mentors, and other people that I have met throughout my Herbalife journey, Team Beauty. But find yourself a mentor, and you got this. Like, you got this.
I love that.
Get busy.
Yes. And make sure that you listen to the following podcast and all of the empowerment calls that we have, because that's what keeps us strong.
Yes.
I know that, I not only speak for you, but for myself in this journey at our weakest moments. What has kept us strong is being able to listen to other people's stories, to be able to see how they, were able to break through and come out victorious regardless of those things, that, they were going through. And so, Jess, thank you so much for opening your heart to each and every single one of us. We truly appreciate you, your time, and your story. And everybody that's watching, if you found value in this podcast, if you found value in Jessica's story and everything that we shared, don't forget to share it with your friend, your sister, your mom, anybody that you find that will find themselves relatable to what we shared today. So that is episode 2 of our 12 weeks of Christmas empowerment. We are loving it, and we cannot wait to see you guys on the next one.
Yes.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yes.